hope you're all doing well. In today's video, I decided that I would put together almost like a little toolkit, a guide to help any of you guys that are interested in entering the book universe, I guess you could say, and kind of give you guys like the tips and tricks and things that I've learned about books and give you some of my favorite book recommendations. So I really hope that this video helps you guys out, and let's get started. So first we're going to talk about the online book space. So there's Bookstagram, BookTube, BookTok, and this is pretty much an online space where people that are really passionate about books or people that really enjoy reading come and they talk about their favorite books. They give book recommendations. They give tours of like their book collections, and I also find that this is a space in which authors come as well, and they like tease upcoming books. They do like cover reveals. So for me personally, I've really enjoyed being part of this online space for books and reading. I mean, like with any online space, there can be a level of toxicity depending on what side you are on, but for the most part, I really enjoyed just being able to see the other books that other people are reading. And I feel like through Book Talk and just like the online book community, I've been able to find a lot of good books and a lot of really interesting and amazing book recommendations. So I feel like if you are not on that side of the internet, I would highly recommend going on there and just connecting with other people and getting to know other people. And it's just so fun when you find a community of people that have read a book that you have enjoyed, and you can just sit there and you just talk, or you can just scroll through the comments and be like, oh my goodness, I totally resonate, and I really agree with that. So now I'm going to get into the different formats of books and where to get books as well. So I feel like because of the digital age, there's so many ways that you can have access to books now. There's audiobooks, and you can get them off of Audible. Amazon, you can read them on Libby, and now Spotify even has audiobooks as well, which I think is really cool. And in terms of ebooks, again, ebooks, you can get them in so many different places. You can get them from your online bookstore. I know that I can get ebooks at Indigo because they sell them there. You can get them at the library for free. You can also get them on Libby and on Amazon as well. And then we also have like physical books, like the paperback copies, and then the hardcover copies as well. So in terms of where to get books, I'm going to start off with the cheapest option, or the cheapest alternative, all the way to the one that costs the most. So the first place that you can get books is the library. I have been using the library for years, ever since that I could like actually go there on my own and get a library card. I have loved going to the library and just walking up and down the aisles and reading like the synopsises on the back of the novels and kind of trying to like figure out and determine whether I want to read the book or not. And I feel like that's a really fun, interesting experience. I've also come to learn that not every book that is popular or trending on Book Talk is necessarily going to be in the library. I feel like if you find yourself gravitating more towards like YA romance or just YA novels in general, like YA murder mystery, fiction, fantasy, you're more likely to find those. But I feel like anything that's like dark romance or anything that is like really spicy, I guess you could say, you're not gonna find at the library, so you're gonna have to turn to alternative sources. But then even for my personal library, I've noticed that not every book that is popular on Book Talk is there. I guess it just takes a little longer for libraries to like acquire those books from the I was supposed to say from the artists, from the writers, I guess, from the authors. Yes, from the authors. Then moving on to the second alternative is Libby. Libby is an app that I recently discovered that I have been using for a ridiculous amount of time. I remember when Z Library, I think it was, something like that, was shut down because people were getting like, I think it was like pirated, or like, I don't know, it was, long story short, I think it was just like an unethical way to obtain ebooks or whatever. But anyways, ever since that was shut down, I realized that people were trying to find different ways and to like find access to like ebooks, and then I came across Libby. So Libby is a free app, and what it pretty much is it's just an online library. If you don't actually have access to like a physical library, or if you can't get to one, Libby is an amazing alternative. All you need is a library card, and then you link your library card to Libby, and it allows you to have access to thousands, and I mean thousands, of different ebooks and audiobooks and magazines. And oh my goodness, I have absolutely loved it. It's an app that has held a special place in my heart, and the best thing is everything on the app is free. An amazing thing is you can rent out books for 21 days, and they also have this other section on Libby called the Lucky Day section. So this is typically where you're going to find a lot of popular books that you see trending on Book Talk, and you can rent those books out for 7 days, and then they automatically get returned back. And I found a lot of popular books on Libby, especially by authors like Emily Henry, Rebecca Yarros, Alia Hazelwood, Abby Geminis, Stephanie Gerber. The list goes on. You can definitely find a lot of their novels on there, but it's also important to understand that not every novel from that author is going to be on Libby. The next way to read books as well is on the Kindle, or if you like buy the actual Kindle device. It just depends on the person. Like I've met some people who absolutely love reading ebooks and they don't really like reading paperback copies, and then there are some people that like reading paperback copies over ebooks. I guess it just really depends on who you are as a person. I feel like if you're a college student and you really enjoy reading, a really great alternative would be to either get a Kindle, or if you do have an iPad, to just get the iPad and to download the Libby app on here. It allows you to have access to so many different ebooks, and you don't actually have to carry the physical paperback copies with you, because when you live in a dorm you only have so much space, so then that way you can continue to read but don't have to worry about where you're going to put all of your books. So that's also a nice alternative. And then after that, another great place to find books is the thrift store. I've seen so many people go to Value Village and Goodwill and just a bunch of like different like bookstores where they can like thrift and buy books for really inexpensive. I feel like if there's a really popular book that you want, and you don't want to pay full price for it, definitely check out your local thrift store to see if other people have donated the books, and you can get them for heavily discounted. I do not know why it took me so long to put two and two together and to realize this, but another great place for you to find books is Facebook Buy and Sell. My goodness, there are so many people that are selling books on Facebook Buy and Sell that are in pristine condition, and if they are gently used, it's really not that bad in all honesty. I think another great thing I love about Facebook Buy and Sell is you can like bargain with the person and I guess try to find like the best price that you would pay. I have found books on there, and I've even purchased books off Facebook Buy and Sell that are in brand new condition for as cheap as $2, $3, sometimes even $5. So it's really nice. So I would strongly recommend, if you really want to get into books but you don't really have the money to pay full price for the books, definitely check on Facebook Buy and Sell. If there's a really popular book that's trending on Book Talk, you're most likely going to find it on Facebook Buy and Sell. And then the last two places that I like to get books are Amazon and Indigo. I like Amazon because I tend to find their books are cheaper in comparison to Indigo, and Indigo does mark their books up by quite a bit. One thing I do like about Indigo is that you can get a membership, and pretty much with the membership, the more you buy books, the more points you get, and eventually those points transfer to like store credit, and then you can use that store credit to actually buy books, which is nice. I think it's a great alternative if you're somebody that buys a ton of books and you're avidly reading. That's really great, but I feel like if you're not, Amazon is a really great alternative as well. So yeah. Okay, so now I'm going to be giving you guys some book recommendations of books that I have read in previous years and authors that I have come to love and enjoy their writing styles. I think I also wanted to preface by saying that I tend to read a lot of romance novels. That's what I naturally find myself gravitating towards. I do have like a little bit of like fantasy in there and murder mystery as well, but that is kind of like the genre that I typically lean towards. I do want to branch out more, so that's something that I'm working towards. But these are some of the books that I have read in previous years that I truly did enjoy. An author that I have recently discovered whose writing style I truly enjoy is Abby Jimenez. Oh my goodness. Everything from the way that she writes her novels, the character, the plot, I absolutely love. My first book that I read by her that I truly fell in love with is Life is Too Short. Pretty much in this novel we follow around Vanessa and Adrian, and Vanessa has decided to quit her job, and she's like a full-time YouTuber and she travels the world, and she's pretty much doing this just because there's a high chance that she's going to get diagnosed with ASL, because that's something that her sister and her mother had also struggled with, and sadly they passed away. So pretty much for her, she just wants to live the best life that she possibly can with the time that she has left. And then suddenly her plans kind of get altered just because she also has a younger sister, and her younger sister is struggling with her own problems, and her younger sister abandons her baby, so then it falls upon Vanessa to take care of her niece. And in the process of her taking care of her niece, she ends up meeting Adrian, and Adrian is a lawyer, and they're neighbors. And through this entire book we get to see the two of them just grow closer and navigate the relationship that they have. And we also get to see Vanessa and Adrian we get to see Vanessa and Adrian build a really wholesome, loving, and heartwarming relationship. And there were so many things that I absolutely loved about this novel. I loved the intentionality that went into the storyline. I loved how it was wholesome, and I loved how Vanessa and Adrian just naturally fell in love with each other, because I tend to find in some other romance books there's a lot of like passion and things that happen like really quickly, and there's so much physical attraction. But for this one, you can tell that they truly cared for each other. And another thing that I really enjoyed reading about this novel is the fact that like when Vanessa and Adrian were together, they made each other better people. They really did. And just being able to read that and see that through these two characters was it was such a wholesome experience. I loved it. One of my favorite novels still to this day, and I love it so much. I really do. And then the other two novels that I've also read by Abby is Friend Zone and Happy Ever After Playlist. Not gonna lie, I did read this, I enjoyed this novel, but I did like the Happy Ever After Playlist more. I would strongly recommend reading the Friend Zone first and then the Happy Ever After playlist, because technically with a lot of her novels, they can be read as standalones, but I would strongly recommend reading them in order because I didn't realize that there was an order to these two. I did read this one first. Again, I strongly recommend reading this novel first because there's something that takes place in this novel that sets up this novel. So please, if you're going to read any of these novels, please read these in order. But yeah, these are some of my favorite books by Abby Jimenez. So yeah. For this next author, I feel like you either, I don't know, like people either like this author or they don't, and it's Colleen Hoover. I'm not gonna lie, regardless, like, to put aside all like the controversy in like surrounding her and her books, I guess you could say, her books are fast-paced, they're easy to read, the storylines are captivating, not for all of her books, but for, I guess you would say, for more of her popular books. But these are two of her books that I have read that I have truly fallen in love with and I really like. Well, I guess more so this one than this one. So the first novel that I read by her is It Ends With Us. As you can see, I have tabbed this book. Like, there's a ridiculous amount of tabs in this novel. I do enjoy this book. I did like it. I do understand why people do not like this novel and why they I can kind of understand the pushback towards this novel and why some people were upset. But for the most part, I feel like there was a strong storyline that she had, and I feel like there was a message and a story that she was trying to tell through this novel and through the character Lily. And it was really interesting. Like, it was definitely a captivating read. I found myself being really, like, truly fully immersed in this novel, and it was definitely a novel that I read and I found myself thinking about for several days later. So pretty much in this novel, it's all about second chance romance. It's about making like difficult decisions, learning to let go of people that you love and care about, and there's also an element of like toxic relationships in this novel as well. So we follow on the main character. Her name is Lily. After she graduates university, she moves to Boston. She opens up her own business, and then she also meets Ryle, who's the second character in this novel, and Ryle is a neurosurgeon, and they kind of hit things off from the beginning. Like, they really like each other, things are going great. And then one day Lily also bumps into a guy that she had crossed paths with earlier on in her life, and his name is Atlas. And through the process of Lily being with Ryle, things start to, in the beginning things are great, but then things start to take a turn for the worse, and the relationship doesn't end up being the healthiest. And through that process, we kind of see Atlas kind of like step in and like care for Lily, and we also see Lily in a position where she has to make a bunch of difficult decisions and truly put herself and the needs of the people that she loves and cares about first. And that is kind of what I would summarize It Ends With Us. I enjoyed the novel. I really did. I'd be lying if I said I didn't. But it's definitely a read that I read and I was like, wow, that was kind of deep. That was kind of interesting. So there's also that as well. The next novel is Reminders of Him by Colleen Hoover. Whoa, I was not expecting to enjoy this novel as much as I did. This was a novel that I bought previously because a lot of people had said it was a really good novel on Book Talk, and I had it on my TBR for almost 2 years and I didn't read it, and I completely forgot that this was a sad book. So going into this, I was kind of blindsided. I thought, oh, maybe this might be like a cute, lighthearted read. It was not. But in this novel, we follow around we follow around Kenna. So Kenna has pretty much, she did something in her past that she really regrets, and she's very ashamed about, and she also has a 4-year daughter that she hasn't met, and she also has a daughter who's 4 years old that she hasn't met. And through the process of this novel, she ends up meeting a guy named Ledger, and Kenna comes to the realization that Ledger and her younger daughter are connected through someone that they both knew in their past. And through this process, Kenna is working through learning how to forgive herself for what she had done in the past, trying to build a connection and a relationship with her daughter. And this is definitely a really heartfelt novel. Oh my goodness, there were some points in the novel where I was reading this and I was like, oh my goodness, Kenna, I feel bad for you. And then when I was reading the way that the other characters in the novel were responding to Kenna, I was like, I can't blame them. Like, I understand why they feel the way that they feel. It was a really interesting novel. I really enjoyed reading about how it was about like forgiveness and second chances and learning how to move on, and more importantly, seeking forgiveness from the people that you have hurt, but also more importantly, learning how to forgive yourself, and seeing Kenna go through that process of learning to grieve for like the people that she has lost, or learning to grieve over the things that she wasn't able to have in her life, and get to a point where she was grateful and she was kind of accepting the position that she was in and learning to move forward and not living a life that was based off of the way that people viewed her. It was it was a really nice heartfelt read. So I really did enjoy this. So yeah. To break things up and to take a break from the romance novels, I have A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. Oh my goodness. Such a good series. I even gave this to one of my sisters, and she doesn't read very often, and she read this and she enjoyed it. She powered through this series in like a week or so. So long story short, it's a really good series by Holly Jackson. In this novel, we follow around Pip. So pretty much a couple years ago in her small town, there was a girl named Annie Bell who was murdered by her boyfriend Sal Singh, who later on killed himself as well. And the police officer looked into this like murder case, and they did a bunch of like investigating. They didn't find anything. 5 years later, Pip is like, you know what? I'm gonna take matters into my own hands, and I'm gonna solve this case because I feel like there are missing pieces. And throughout this process of Pip investigating, we begin to realize that, you know, maybe Sal might be innocent. Maybe Sal didn't actually kill Andy, and maybe there might be another person that is involved in this murder that had a significant role that they played, and they're not being honest, and they've done a relatively good job of covering up their tracks. And this is pretty much the beginning of the Good Girl's Guide to Murder series. The first novel was really good. I'm not gonna lie, it wasn't as dark, I guess you could say, and as murder mystery as I thought it was gonna be. I like the storyline, I like the plot twists, but I tend to find that as I was reading these novels, they got progressively darker, which maybe could be why it first starts off with the book being light, and then the last book is like almost black, I guess you could say, and just like really dark. But one thing that I really appreciate about Holly Jackson's writing style is, specifically in this first book, I really love how there were hints that were dropped throughout the novel as you were reading, but when you got to the end, things tied together and things made sense. I tend to find that in a lot of murder mystery novels, you're given a lot of information, but if the author doesn't tie things together well, it just feels like you're being given information and it doesn't really serve a purpose. But I really enjoyed that about this novel. Another thing about Holly Jackson is she has links that she has in the books as you're reading them, and I think maybe QR codes at sometimes, and you can like actually search up these links, and I feel like it adds to the reading process and it makes it more immersive. And it was just a really good series. I enjoyed it. Every single book had me on my toes. I can't say that, but every single book always had me on my toes. It had me on the edge of my seat, and oh my goodness, I definitely want to go back and reread this series, even though I already know what's going to happen in the end. But A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson is definitely one that I would recommend to somebody that is starting off with reading. And now to pivot a little bit, we're going to get into a different series, and I absolutely love anime, and recently I've gotten into, I guess you could say like the habit of reading manga, because I learned the hard way. I really did. I used to just only watch the anime, but then after, there were just way too many spoilers on the internet, so I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna take matters into my own hands, and I'm gonna read the manga, because I don't want anyone to spoil what's gonna happen in the rest of the like anime that I'm watching. And an anime, or I guess you could say like a manga series that I'm currently in the midst in, is the Jujutsu Kaisen series. Oh my goodness, it is so good. I have nothing but good things to say. Right here I have volume 9 all the way until volume 17, and I think I would honestly argue that my favorite volumes have to be I loved all of them. I enjoyed reading all of them, but I think my favorites would have to be volume 11. Oh yeah. I think my favorites would have to be volume 11, volume 14, and volume 17. I think these are like the 14, I believe. It has to be volume 14. Yeah, they're currently on volume 14, which is crazy. Oh no, yeah, they are. Oh yeah. Yeah, they are. But I think one thing that I truly enjoy about like reading the manga and watching the anime is I feel like it makes it more of an immersive experience, because don't get me wrong, I love reading the manga, I really do, but the manga does not do the fight scenes any justice. I love seeing the fight scenes being drawn in like the actual manga and just seeing them being brought to life in the actual anime, and it just makes me enjoy watching the series so much more. It just makes I don't know, as I said before, it just makes it more of an immersive experience in series. So there's also that as well. But volume 14 is a sad one, it definitely is. But things just continue to get crazier and crazier from this point forward. So yeah, but that is it for today's video. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. I honestly just wanted an excuse to talk about books and some of my favorite series that I've recently read. I think the biggest takeaway from this video is to just like immerse yourself in the reading experience by trying different books and reading books from different authors, and that reading is just fun. It's just something that's really lighthearted, and it's a really great way to pass time. For me personally, I feel like a lot of people that don't enjoy reading books are probably people that haven't found a really good book or haven't found a book that's resonated with them. And I've even talked to people that wouldn't consider themselves like avid readers, but they read a book and they're like, I don't read very often, but I'm not gonna lie, the book was good. And I feel like everyone should experience that at one point in their life, because reading books is truly, it's a fun experience, I'm not gonna lie. But thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys again next time.